Wow. Wow. Awesome. Well, hello, Stockholm. My name is Thomas Beaties. I come here with my wife, Nancy, and my 3 children, Susan, Austin, and Jensen, all the way from the United States, from hot 49 degrees Celsius, Phoenix, Arizona. I'd like to thank the Stockholm Pride promoters and everyone involved in inviting me out here to speak to you. I'm honored and humbled to be here, and your country and your people are beautiful. So, who am I? I'm that American guy that was in the media who some say was paid $1 million to be on Oprah, right? Yes, I was on Oprah, but no, our family got paid nothing. We actually got a t-shirt, a mug, and a hat. But I'm transgender. As a fully legal man and husband, I got pregnant, and I gave birth 3 times. Talk about being a minority of all minorities. Even a lot of transgender people didn't know what to make of it, but honestly, the truth is any one of you could be up here sharing your perspective on diversity with us. Our differences within the gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, and intersex community need to be celebrated and shared. Within our community, we differ from one another in many ways, and sometimes it's easy to forget that. We need to be aware of our differences so that we can better understand, respect, and protect each other. This is why the Stockholm Pride theme of openness is something I have great passion and emotion for. After all, our family story is no secret. It made international headlines. Why choose to be so open? The decision to go public was actually by accident. Our story came out by accident. In 2005, Nancy and I had just bought our first home in the small and conservative logging town of Bend, Oregon. We'd been married for 2 years, we'd been together for 7, and we had known each other for 15 years. We were chasing the American dream, and everything about our new life seemed perfect, except there was one thing missing, one tiny little thing. Well, millions of people across the world, they dream of starting small families together. Families everywhere throughout time have shared the same dream, but starting a family for Nancy and I was complicated. Nancy was unable to get pregnant because she had severe endometriosis, which resulted in a hysterectomy. 10 years earlier, when I chose to transition from female to male, I chose to keep my reproductive organs. And luckily for me, I lived in a place that allowed me to keep that basic civil right. So when I found out that I was the only one of the 2 of us who could carry a child, I chose to do so without hesitation. I made the sacrifice for the love in our family, even though it meant doing something that the world wasn't used to seeing. Today, we have our tiny, beautiful little thing, and her name is Susan. She was soon followed by Austin and Jensen. Now, just because you want to get pregnant doesn't mean you can, especially when battling biological, social, medical, and legal unknowns. Our first insemination attempt worked, but I ended up having an ectopic pregnancy with triplets. I had to have emergency surgery, and due to the damage of surgery, my chances of getting pregnant again were cut in half. And Nancy and I were devastated, but the damage done to my body was only part of our trauma. Soon, within our small community, people were finding out about my failed pregnancy. Doctors were talking, receptionists were going home and telling their husbands and boyfriends about the pregnant man. And Nancy and I had a decision to make. We could have boarded up our doors and tried to barricade ourselves against the impending media storm, but neither Nancy and I had ever hidden from challenges or shied away in the shadows before this. It's not who we are. For years, we had fought for LGBT equality in Hawaii, lobbying for civil unions and equal public accommodations laws as well as for safety for GLBT youth in the public school system. When I was 16 weeks pregnant with Susan, I was asked to write a small article in an LGBT magazine in the United States. In the article, I talked about the medical discrimination we're facing, as well as posed legal questions about our legal concerns, which were unprecedented at any time, anywhere. How would my and Nancy's marriage be treated? How would it list the parents on our baby's birth certificate? We didn't know. But when the article hit, the story wrapped around the world, and soon newspapers, tabloids, magazines, radio and TV stations, as well as internet sources were talking about us, but unfortunately, none of them were talking about us in an accurate or respectful way. I once read that I was giving birth to kittens from unusual parts of my anatomy. But for that moment, I was the most talked about pregnant person on the planet and the least understood. Nancy and I didn't set out to be public figures. It was clear that we couldn't hide my pregnancy. Embarrassingly enough, at one point we thought we could all just tell people I'd suddenly gotten fat. But once the world found out about our story, albeit a sensational version lacking truth and emotion, we knew we had to set the record straight. We certainly didn't will ourselves on Oprah's show, make lots of money, or want to be famous. No one has that power. All we wanted was a family of our own, and we did what it took to have one. We did something unconventional, and I broke a few archaic gender stereotypes. In the process, I confused and angered some people, while I helped embolden others face their own adversities, including other trans men bringing babies into this world. Before my family's story came out, most people were unaware that trans men are willing or even capable of wanting families of their own. Well, a lot of them are, and a lot of trans women also want families. This is why communication and openness is so important to our community. Unfortunately, I'm here to tell you that it's not easy for transgender people to start families. You know, gender and sexual orientation has nothing to do with the desire to want to start a family. There are medical, legal, social, and economic hurdles to transgender people getting pregnant. In America, the path is unmarked and unfriendly. Depending upon the state you live in, there are impassable roadblocks. The law and public policy are not yet fair to transgender people, and I hear that here in Sweden, one of the requirements for gender reassignment includes sterilization. Boo. Well, sterilization doesn't make a person grow the reproductive organs of the opposite sex. It only deprives a person of the basic right to reproduce. This issue needs to be talked about, exposed, and opened up for everyone to see. That's why I'm here. I hope to show your lawmakers the beautiful children that this transgender man made with his wife. And I want everyone to see that the transgender citizens of Sweden need to also have the possibility of love, life, and liberty restored to them. Now, would Nancy and I do everything again, knowing the kind of public scrutiny we'd face? You better believe it. I've discovered my purpose and meaning in life, and that's being a good husband and father. It's being part of a loving family. Nancy and I have the good fortune right now of living our dream right here, right now. And we're not just living the American dream. We're living a dream shared by the citizens of Sweden and by citizens around the world. We're living the human dream. Accidental transgender reproductive rights spokesperson, so be it. I just see myself as Thomas, husband and father. An open person is a likable, approachable person with nothing to hide. Being true to oneself and others is one of the first steps to inner peace and harmony. It's contagious and liberating. It's crucial to a fair and understanding society. Openness sheds light on ignorance and helps to destroy harmful stereotypes. Even though initially going public was unanticipated for me, I now feel happy and fortunate to have opportunities like this one to continue to speak openly about our family, our love, and our beautiful children. I get emails and messages every day from people across the world telling me that they're inspired by my family's story and that they're so glad that we chose to be open about it. I'd like to pass on that inspiration to you so that you can recycle it and continue to love and create beautiful things within your own lives. Thank you.